What's good, y'all? Welcome to the Sixth Element of Hip Hop. I'm your host, Reno Noir. We have our co-host, Stu Dog in the wings, getting ready to join us right now. We got a crazy show, crazy things going down with the DCU, with the MCU, with Star Wars, with Disney. Oh my God, man, it's gonna be crazy. But for the main topic, man, we're gonna talk about Keanu Reeves playing the DCU Batman. That's a serious concept right there. We got the info about the Fantastic Four. We got the info about the Avengers movie and the new He-Man movie, which Dawn of the Jedi. Some new information from James Manigold from my most anticipated Star Wars project, one of my favorite Star Wars comic series of all time, Dawn of the Jedi. And of course, Skeleton Crew number 7. Of course, we got the breakdown for y'all as we always do, and that is coming up as well. And that was episode 7. But yeah, I think it's definitely the darkest chapter yet, in the best way possible. It's a great penultimate episode. Always one of my favorites. I always like the penultimate episodes. I think they're usually more exciting and more entertaining than the finales. Finales generally like wrap up things, tie up loose ends or whatever. But the penultimate episode, the episode before the finale, is always the big event, no matter what series. It's always that way. And episode 7 did not disappoint in that regard. Stu Dog is carrying in the groceries and about to pop in. All right. I don't know. Let's wait for Stu before we get into the goods. But yeah, until Stu pops in, a little bit of info about a cool comic book that is out called Batman Gargoyle of Gotham #1. Check that out, man. It's a story under DC's Black Label, and definitely uses everything that the Black Label umbrella allows, right? It's all, the language is more severe, the violence is intense as Batman literally blinds enemies with his fingers. The art, as you know, always one of my biggest criteria. I think art is as important as the story. It's comics, it's not a novel. So definitely hits the mark, and it's got a nice dark vibe to it. The art. And the first issue was released way back September of 2023. The second issue came out December 2023. The third issue was released a year later in December 2024. So if you've been following it, you're like, what the fuck? But yeah, the Raphael Grandpa is both the writer and artist behind the series, which seems to be why it suffered this huge delay and went through these big hiatuses, because one guy, and so I held off reading the series because I didn't want to wait a year between issues. So it's time. It's definitely time to get into it, man. Spoiler alert, though, if you have not read Batman Gargoyle of Gotham, but without a doubt, anyone who picks up the issue will be captivated by the art immediately. Phenomenal artwork, but that's not always a good thing. Grandpa draws every scene and every single character. Let Stu in the house. Okay, Stu, you got to cut your camera on for us to see you, I think. There you go. There's the audio joint. Salute to the chat. What up, Corey? Peace. As always, you already know. But yeah, man. Don't front on Batman Gargoyle, dog. I'm telling y'all. The like I said though, he's drawn every character in a style that's very unique, but it's so different that some people might not like it. They might find it a little off-putting, but some insignificant side characters and other more important characters like Gordon are drawn with oversized red noses that resemble something you'd see on like Rick and Morty a little too much type of thing. But at other moments, the art is just impeccable. And this always applies to Grandpa's depiction of the city of Gotham itself. But right away, you'll be drawn to that version, man. You'll be shown this terrible version, this immoral cesspool place, and it reminds you of the Watchmen as it opens, and Batman sort of monologues over the sins of the Gothamites, including domestic abuse, hard drug use, pedophilia, you name it. Clearly, this is the worst Gotham we've had. And that's saying a lot. But when we see Batman in action for the first time, it's one panel only at first, and he's depicted as a child Bruce Wayne beating on criminals that he faces. And it's a great way to show that the child inside Bruce never died, but simply became angry and got stronger, and it plays into a later plot point. But Batman is investigating a string of murders in which every victim was paralyzed from the first blow and had some sort of cylindrical item inserted into their body at spots that coincide with the human energy field. And so other than that, we know almost nothing. But one of those victims had traces of TNT on his body, which leads Batman to a warehouse where goons are forcing the homeless to manufacture TNT. And this is where we meet the villain. And the villain in this issue is very strange. He almost resembles Mr. Negative if Mr. Negative was only black. And he's always crying when he kills or when he fights. And he has an odd obsession with a specific cartoon of a crying child. And so, but he's a badass fighter, and so much so that he beats Batman twice. And that's no easy task. I mean, one of the best hand-to-hand combatants in the DC universe. And now, once again, even though this issue is very long, we learn nothing else about him. The design for Batman in this series is also very jarring. Some of the changes I think work extremely well, and others again are off-putting. But that's just like the rest of the art. And if you're just not pretentious and you don't mind like some cool artistic freedom and stylized imagery, you'll like it. And Batman's suit design to have layers of armor that realistically connect to each other instead of just being one piece of material. Most of the suit isn't very high tech, other than the grappler blades that shoot out of the sides of his arms, but the cowl is and he's able to increase how much his environment he hears at any moment, and he's got infrared vision, turns his eyes red. But the most jarring part of the costume is definitely the eyes. They're very strangely thin, but the idea that Batman relies more on his hearing than his vision, like a bat, works very well. Again, it's definitely an Elseworlds project, but the downside of this issue was the focus on wealthy inequality as a theme. Personally, this theme just feels tired. Absolute Superman tried to do it. It's a theme in The Batman and lots of other stories, but this comic hits on the idea so hard for a few pages that it came very close to an argument for a socialist Gotham. And clearly, this version of Gotham City is massively corrupt, more so than other stories. But I'm hoping that socialism isn't the answer that Raphael Grandpa comes up with, because again, we haven't gotten to the end of this. But the issue has two major highlights. The first is that Batman is literally trying to kill Bruce Wayne. He is attempting to fake Bruce Wayne's death so that he's no longer under the public eye. He just wants to not even worry about the whole identity thing. Just, I'm dead. Forget about it. Batman's a fucking legend. And so they kill the personality and the parts of himself that are Bruce Wayne. and so he doesn't even want Alfred to call him Bruce anymore. He's his logic behind that is that if he's truly to achieve his mission as Batman, he has to only be Batman. He has to kill Bruce. He can't be Bruce at all. It's a great narrative element to explore the self-imposed trauma that it takes to be Batman. And there's been so many iterations, so many different versions of Batman where different mental states that he's in and different levels of insanity. But this is again just another really cool one. Overall, it's a great, violent, bloody, rated R comic book that would make a great read. It would make a great graphic novel. Rather, the storyline doesn't go far in 54 pages, so it's is setting up something intriguing. And when we know this version of Gotham is very brutal and uncaring, and the conflicting personalities of Bruce and Batman is a very fresh angle. And so everything is perfectly weird. And while the art is strange at times, it does very frequently complement the story. And but all things considered, I definitely give the story a 9.5 out of 10. This comic. So Batman, Gargoyle of Gotham #1 and #2 is out as well. #3 is out too. So check these out. It's a 4-part series. But before I go into I'm not going to go into the other issues now. But since Stu is finally here, we were just talking shit. What up, Stu Dog? Slade, peace.
What up? What up? The Batman, the thing with Batman is every time somebody does a Batman story, regardless to who writes it, they always try to reinvent the wheel. And the old saying about reinventing the wheel, you can't. Um, some stories are good. Sometimes they do a good job. And other stuff, you're like, well, why we even write this? Like, why is this even?
Well,
Um,
that's why they did it in Elseworlds. It's not changing Batman or anything like that. It's
yeah.
just the Elseworlds one-off story.
No,
So
that's
it's
my yeah,
meant
that's
to
my
be
point.
odd and different. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's my point. That's my point. Is I know it's meant to be odd. I know it's meant to be different, and it is Elseworlds, and that's the good thing that I like about DC, is they're saying you can reinvent the wheel, but it's not canon. And it started with the New 52 because a lot of the writers, when they brought out the New 52, didn't follow the rules. They did their own thing, and then DC had to fix it, and they had to rewrite some stuff and omit some stuff. Especially with Flash, they were doing a lot of weird. The writers were doing a lot of weird things with Flash and writing in a
Hmm.
lot of things that were in continuity. So I like the Elseworld stories because it gives you room to expand and reinvent and maybe jump down a rabbit hole. Um, and I like the way DC does it, so it doesn't mess with canon. So like
There's another one
Batman,
here.
yeah,
This is
Dark
another one
Patterns.
here. Dark Patterns. It is issue #1 right here. And again, really, really cool artwork in this one. I really dig the art, and I like the
That's
art on the
ill.
cover. You see Batman like putting on a Batman T-shirt,
That's ill.
and the yeah, like I said, man, super good artwork.
Yeah, and I like, and that's the one thing I like about all the Elseworlds things with Batman is that it gives us a break from the norm, and we can jump down a rabbit hole. But I will say one thing: a lot of times when they do else, the art is usually fantastic. those,
Yeah, I love it.
yeah,
Yeah, art's always cool. Let me see something. Put on my old joints.
they had to put on the
Put on my
magnifiers,
spectacles.
put
Yeah,
on the magnifiers, the spectacles.
magnification. But oh, just got these today.
That's a dope ass
Jessica
spider.
True, Spider Woman. Yeah, I always just wanted the OG Spider Woman like that. I like that design, and then that's that Super Scroll.
That's hard. That's a Marvel Legend.
Yeah,
That's hard, bro.
he's
Yeah.
got two. You can put the two regular arms on him like that, or he's got his Mister Fantastic arm, or his or an Iron Man arm. You can do because remember he can just turn into whatever Avenger he wants or whatever Marvel hero he wants. They can pretty much emulate. But yeah, it was a 2-pack, so they just came together. I don't because This Spider Woman, where's her head? She comes with a scroll head. So it's really a scroll being Jessica Drew. But
Scroll.
fuck it. Yeah,
Okay.
but
Or you
yeah,
can have, so you really got a 3 pack. So it could be a scroll or a spider one.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, burrs. But yeah, Keanu Reeves. It never hit me like it never. I never thought about this until the other day. The after the creature commandos, man, I'm more convinced than ever that I think Keanu Reeves would actually kill as his it's his dream role. He said is to play Batman, and
What?
yeah, I never thought about it, but like Keanu in the DC Batman where he's Damian Wayne's dad and he's wearing the blue and gray. I'm with it, bro. Like I'm fucking with it, dog. Like I'm thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, that is that's the move right there. Let me I don't know. Yeah. Um, but yeah, the DC universe obviously just begun. We've got Creature Commandos, the first series, and they've already set up Keanu Reeves' dream role in the franchise. Following the speculation of Keanu Reeves joining the MCU, the actor has also discussed interest in appearing in the DCU. And while there's
Mm.
many roles that would fit Keanu Reeves' unique brand of charm and brooding conviction, but his new universe appears to be setting up one of their most popular characters in a way that I believe would suit Reeves perfectly. One Reeves is a Superman Reeves and a Batman Reeves. That would be dope. But Keanu Reeves has definitely done some superhero movies. He's done DC. He's already played Constantine, but we know that the new Constantine is going to be the blonde haired normal version that if we ever get one in DCU, it won't be the Keanu cinematic Constantine. But Keanu has not played a significant role in any of the larger MCUs or DCUs or anything like that since that all started. And after John Wick became a huge hit, it became clear that his career was, as full of life as it ever was. I mean, before John Wick, who's to say where his career was going? But yeah, that just put him back on the map as like an A list actor, and he would be an asset, man. I think whether Reeves' Marvel dream roles, or in DC or whatever superhero franchise, but I think beginning to look like there is a role that he'd be perfect for, and I would love to see him see his take on it. Um, we saw the brief cameo in Creature Commandos, right, where Batman's silhouette was there in the episode, and revealed some details of the Dark Knight, and how it would be in the DCU. And the rumors have circled concerning Robert Pattinson being moved over to DCU. I don't know why they would think that, but the Batman 2, the simple design of the character here seems to disqualify that possibility, and also the fact that they've all been very vocal that that's not the fucking case. So guys, stop saying it. It's stupid. But the Batman in the Creature Commandos and the one that we're getting in the Damian Wayne movie is an older, bigger, clearly been working as Batman for some time, in a way that would not suit the Robert Pattinson iteration of the character. Now, Keanu Reeves, however, would be perfectly suited for a tougher, more worn, more greasy, battle worn, John Wick, scarred up Batman of a character. And following that brooding darkness that he's brought to so many of his roles, there's kind of a silent dynamism that Reeves has that would differentiate his version of the Dark Knight, from any others, and I think adapting that character in a fresh and original way, using brutal darkness but avoiding the angst, could make for a refreshing take on the story. Batman, being an older, more mature character, and help to differentiate him as an important character alongside Superman in the new universe. Um, you know, but I mean,
Mm.
what do y'all think? I don't know. You got John Wick.
Listen, we've gotten Reno. All I can say is every Batman that they've ever announced, we've never been with it from the grip. until
Right.
we actually saw him play the role. So he might be the next. He might be the next great Batman. I mean, we were tripping about Robert Patterson. We tripped about the greatest Batman that we've ever saw,
Keaton. Yeah.
which is Keaton. We tripped about Ben Affleck. We was like, man, nah. I mean, you had people sending death threats about, but Ben turned out to be a good Batman. So
Yeah.
I'm down with it, man.
A good
Now,
Bruce.
as far as Constantine, me personally, I know it's not gonna happen because Hollywood's not that smart. But I hope that they listening and they just get some smartness to him. Matt Ryan, the one that plays on CW,
Oh.
that's Constantine. That is Constantine. I like him as like he nailed it. Like he nails the part.
Mm,
But in
I didn't
this
see it, but
universe,
yeah.
James Gunn might want to go with a younger Constantine. But if you ever get a chance, watch Constantine. It was a, TV show. He had a TV show. It was only on one
Oh
season.
yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but it was good. And the guy
Yeah.
that plays Constantine, he does a good job, bro. Like he's convincing.
Mhm.
You was like, yo, bro, like he really played a good Constantine. So I could see them bringing him in as Constantine. That would be great. And if you bought Patterson, I mean, not Patterson, you bought in Reeves as Batman, I'm with it.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
down with
you
it.
know, he's one of the many that have been rumored to be cast as Batman in DCU, and circumstances continue to align that make it's a good as a good casting, and I'd argue that the DCU needs to create a Batman like none that has been seen before. Making castings like
That's
Jake
true.
Gyllenhaal and Jensen Ackles a little too familiar. Reeves would be definitely bring a more quiet, contemplative energy that we haven't really seen with the Dark Knight. And maybe an older, more grounded, more mature Batman. And with this Batman set to be already established, with him having a son in the universe, and it's important to that a new lens be taken to Batman. And again, this is supposed to not be the same black suit, same Batman that we. It's supposed to be like a gray and blue suit, yellow belt, old school costume kind of thing, and but yet a new take. So I think
But
you're
then
right. You're right.
if you look at the body type, um, what's the comic one? I forget what version of Batman that is. I know it's a newer one. That Keanu Reeves would fit. He would fit that because the way they drew Batman, it's the one with him and Damien standing in front of Batmobile. He's got his arms crossed. I think you have it, and that would fit, bro. Like it would be a perfect casting. Yes, it would. That would be. If you look at that, he's built like Reeves, like
Yeah. Well,
Keanu
this is
Reeves built.
and this
So
is the
that would be
Batman
great.
that. Yeah, this is the story they're talking about making for the DCU, so it actually does work.
It
And
does work. It would be perfect. I'm not even gonna lie. It would be a perfect casting. I mean,
we have definitely had stranger castings. He said American Constantine's the best version, in my opinion. I think they should use the CW guys, Constantine's too, and Sada speak on that. What's up, Reno Stu Dog? Everyone at Six Element, Mighty Rack, salute. I think he voiced Batman in Super Pets, so yeah, that's right.
yeah,
That's
he
right.
did. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he seems to be interested in taking on the role. He definitely said that it's one of his biggest dreams, or biggest secret dreams to play Batman. And I think if he really wants it, I think he could probably get it. So but it just depends on the direction that they're going to go, if they're going to go with an unknown or what. um a lot of people want Jensen Ackles. Like, I'm not. It's like another Jensen Ackles, another brooding dark Batman. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't know. I could see Keanu just he's being a little bit more mellow with it. Like, just I don't know, dude. I just think John Wick, but Batman.
But here's the
Uh,
thing: it won't be like The Rock. Like a lot of people say, when The Rock plays a
yeah,
character, he's playing The Rock, but he's playing the
yeah,
character, but he's The Rock playing whatever character he's playing,
yeah,
but he's
yeah,
still being The Rock. So
yeah,
we know he's gonna put his own twist on it,
yeah.
and and we
It's
gotta.
kind of hard not to see
I
Keanu Reeves. That's true.
It's kind of,
Uh,
yeah. I would just
yeah.
wait and see because we've cussed out. I'm not gonna do it this time. We've cussed out and showed our disapproval for every Batman who was casted.
Yeah.
Besides George Clooney, all of them were good in their own way, except for Clooney.
Yep.
And he apologized for not being good. So he gets a
Mhm.
pass now. He said, I didn't want to ruin it. I'm sorry if I
Yeah.
did. He said it'll
Yeah.
never happen again. And he said the same thing. It was a dream role for him to play Batman. But he was
Yeah.
like, everybody hated me. And he said when I went back and looked at it, he said I was terrible as Batman. So I mean,
Yeah. That's
so
that he got respect for admitting that, man. But
yeah.
well, the villain of the Batman Part Two has been a mystery worthy of a Dark Knight, detective. First announced in 2022, we Matt Reeves' Batman sequel has been, has kept its lead villain under wraps, even as the next chapter of the Batman epic crime saga prepares a 2025 shoot ahead of its new 2027 release date. We know that the Batman 2 is going to pick up after the events of the Penguin series, roll right into it with no gaps. And that positioned Colin Farrell's Oz Cobb as the new kingpin of Gotham, which, by the way, Colin Farrell's Oz. I just want y'all to understand. He's the third man to ever get a Golden Globe award for a DC role, a Batman role. The other two are Heath Ledger and
Mm.
fucking hold on, it's
Jack
gonna hit
Nicholson,
me.
right? I know.
No,
Jack Nicholson, I know.
no, Joker, what's his name? Just did the Joker too. What's his name? Joaquin Phoenix. So
Oh, Joaquin
Joaquin, Heath
Phoenix.
Ledger, and Colin Farrell. Like that's the level he hit with that, man, and that's crazy. That's
Heath
real.
Ledger, but Heath Ledger took the Joker to a whole nother level.
Yeah,
I love Heath Ledger. I love. I mean, everybody in the world love Heath Ledger Joker, man. It
yeah,
was just,
he killed it.
it was epic. Yeah,
It
he
was
did
epic.
kill it, man. Yeah, and
And
before that, it was Jack Nicholson set the bar. And then Heath
right,
Ledger, he took it up another notch. He was like, well,
yeah.
I'm gonna take it there,
I'm
and then I'm gonna take it up a notch.
I'm I'm happy that Colin Farrell won the Golden Globe, but I'm a little bit annoyed that Jodie Foster beat Christina Kristen Milioti's Sophia Falcone. Dude, Sophia Falcone,
Mm,
that role, that was the role. I think she was neck and neck with Colin Farrell, bro. She murdered that role. She was phenomenal. Like she had me glued to that show. I wanted to tune in to see what she was gonna do next. That's why I was
mm.
watching the show. She was that good. And Jodie Foster, I think, did one of her lamest, weakest roles in the fucking True Detectives season 4,
Yeah, I
which was,
didn't
I
like
think,
her in True
the
Detective.
worst
I
season.
didn't, bro. And I watched True Detective too. I'm a fan. I didn't like
Yeah,
her in True Detective, man.
the
It,
worst.
it was it's like The Rock is Jodie Foster playing a character, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's just the same. It's just like that. It's like it's whatever character she plays is Jodie
She
Foster
plays the same
playing that
fucking
character, right?
accent.
It's the same.
Same.
Right? She acts, yeah. She doesn't put any twist on it, or I mean, look, in Silence of the Lambs, she was good,
Yeah,
and but then that's the same
but
thing
she was
she
still
plays in
Jodie
every,
Foster.
right,
Yeah,
right. She's still a Jodie Foster, but it worked for Silence of the Lambs, but it don't work for nothing else.
right.
So you gotta be like, look, you gotta get into the role. You gotta do something. It just doesn't. She just
And then
doesn't
you
hit for
had,
me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's not like De Niro and Pacino. When you see them, it's always De Niro and Pacino, but they play different characters, dog, and it always seems like a completely different character. You don't ever think, oh, that's De Niro doing De Niro. That's De Niro doing a
No,
different character.
they're
You
doing a
know, it's
different
De
character.
Niro. He's doing a De Niro
They're
version
different.
of that character,
They're
but it's still a different
hmm
fucking character. You still believe him.
and it's still acceptable. Like we like it.
We believe it
You know what
because
I
you
mean?
believe
Yeah,
that
we
that's
believe it.
that dude. Yeah, whoever he's
That's true.
playing, you believe that's a real person, and that's what it's all about. But you know, um, the Matt Reeves was asked about the if the villain is going to be surprising, if it's going to be someone that we're surprised about, which I think if it is, that rules out Penguin and that rules out Riddler because that would not surprise me. That would just be like, well, it surprised me that it was that fucking lame. But that's what a lot of people think is going to happen, and I don't think so. I think we're going to get a unique villain. And I hope it's not Barry Keegan's Joker. Everybody, I don't want to see that Joker. I think that Joker should fucking be erased from existence. It was the worst shit I've ever seen. I don't ever want to see the Joker coming through looking like fucking Sloth from the Goonies. I don't want to see it. It's not cool. It's not the Joker. Fuck out of here. But Reeves said, I hope so. He said, I think so. When they asked him if it was going to be surprising, he said, I hope so. I think so. The story is a continuation in a certain way and completely different in another. And it's going to show different sides of Rob. I think it's going to be really exciting and really cool. So talking about Robert Pattinson, it's going to show different sides of Robert Pattinson. Rumored villains have, of course, been Two-Face, a pre-Two-Face Harvey Dent, actually. A Harvey Dent that isn't quite yet Two-Face, and then maybe he becomes Two-Face, and the third one is that's what some people say. The Bruce Wayne obsessed master impersonator, Thomas Elliott / Hush, which is my vote. That's what I want to see the most, because we've never seen Hush in any movie or anything, and it's definitely like something like, oh shit, that's dope. But
and that would make sense because the story they kind of did for the Batman is the one where Riddler dressed up like Hush, but it was really Riddler, and the way he was wrapped up and everything. Yeah. So
the cartoon version. Yeah.
Yeah.
Third, and then then Clayface is another one that people.
Clayface would be ultra dope. I love Clayface, man. That's one of
the
my
thing
favorite
is,
Batman villains.
I know, and the thing is with Clayface though is he's getting his own movie. There's going to be a Clayface movie, a solo Clayface film. It's going to be a Clayface film that's kind of like how Sony does their Batman villain. It's just going to be a Clayface film without Batman, just about Clayface. I don't know, and I think they're going to do the old, the original Clayface, where it's just an actor that like is disguises himself more than like a mud monster like we saw in Creature Commandos, which we know does exist in the DCU. Because we see him in Creature Commandos, that was the DCU Clayface. So the DCU movie is going to be a Clayface movie. Is supposed to be DCU. So if it's going to be the mud monster from fucking Creature Commandos and be some kind of horror movie, or if it's going to be more of like a Phantom of the Opera type horror movie with the the old school actor Boris Karloff or whatever his name is version of.
We do know that by the time he becomes like a mud monster, he's mutated. There was some things that happened to him that made him that way. So in the beginning, he was the size of a regular man. He wasn't a regular man, but we'll see. We'll see how far they. Because once you get to where he's just a big mud monster, that's way further down in Clayface's history.
Yeah. But Reeves said you kind of look at the online rumors casually and go, is that what they think now? Interesting. Okay. And he said, but you just put your head down and you do what you do and you try your best to do as you can, or you try to do the best as you can. That's what he's saying when he reads what fans are thinking. In September, Reeves confirmed that the Penguin will return in the Batman 2, which we already knew, with his eight episode spin-off series acting as the entry point to the film. He said there are details that actually connect right into the way the next movie begins and the way Oz enters that world as we hand the baton back to Batman and Batman is on another case. He said, going to dig into the epic story about deeper corruption, and it goes into places that Batman couldn't anticipate in the first movie. He said the seeds of where this all goes are all in the first movie. He said it expands in a way that will show you aspects of the character that you never got to see. He said Batman is constantly battling these forces, but these forces can't be entirely exercised, so the next movie delves deeper into that. He's talking more of like it's going to be some sort of a introspective thing where like there's like two sides to Batman. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, so it's really hard to understand. He's talking about Robert Pattinson showing his two sides. I don't know. It's got nothing to do with Two-Face. I don't know. He's being really cryptic, and that's his job. But one villain that can be ruled out Gentleman Ghost, the supernatural supervillain, made an appearance in the Reeves
That would
produced
be
animated series.
that would be
Uh,
dope. They did Gentleman
yeah,
Ghost,
yeah.
but
But
yeah,
he was in Caped
only the
Crusader. Uh,
only the
yeah,
perfect world. That would
yeah.
be dope as hell.
He said it would not be that one, but yes, it would be dope. But he said, he said it was what was important was for me to find a way to make these pop icons, these mythical characters that everybody knows, and translate that so Gotham feels like a place in our world. He said we might push to the edge of the fantastical, but we never go into full fantastical. He said it's meant to feel quite grounded. It doesn't mean that you won't see characters that people love. That's exactly what we want to do. So he said, Gentleman Ghost is probably pushed a bit too far for us to be able to find a way to do it that seems grounded, but there is a fun way to think about how we would take characters that might push over a bit into fantastical and to find a way to make that make sense in a grounded reality. So Clayface, the human version before the mutation would be one way to do it. Um, and the whole thing about Joker being disfigured by some chemical, whatever, of course he's not going to come out looking like a fucking perfect clown. He's going to come out looking all hideous. So I guess that's the way of making it real. um
Right. Which we know that's a thing now. Since the Nolan Batmans, everybody wants to ground it in reality. I mean, we had our dose of that. It's time to get back to the comic book things and get the more comic book style of Batman back. I think that's we just need a break. It's time to change. We can't keep
yeah.
doing these based in reality Batmans and these based in reality Batmobiles. They don't look cool. They don't look cool,
Huh.
and it's something I wouldn't want to drive. You know what I
Right.
mean? I want to drive the Batmobile I saw in Batman Returns, or the
Hell
one we
yeah.
saw in, or the one we saw in Batman, the '89 movie. We want to see that. We want to see those, Batmobiles like that. They're cool looking.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Batmobile is like when you watch Star Trek, it's like the Enterprise. It
Mm.
is a character. The Batmobile
Yeah.
is a character in the movie. So it has to be drawn up right and delivered right. And you have to have scenes with it in the movie where it's interacting with the people in the movie. It's
Hmm.
just what it is. And it is a big character in the movie. So hopefully in this next the Batman movie, he's refined the Batmobile and we get a better Batmobile. But we do know now this is one thing Reno we gotta watch out for
Mm.
that they did get right in Batman Begins. People don't realize when Batman first started out, he was doing all the mechanics himself, which they got right in the Batman. It was just him and Alfred building them before Lucius
Yeah.
Fox started doing it. So the first Batmobiles they had, they were huge. They would take up the whole road. They were like tanks.
Yep.
And but he had a lot of mechanical issues. And when he met Lucius Fox, and he started, refining the Batmobile, making them smaller, more sleeker, faster, more gadgets. That's when we saw the iconic Batmobiles that we saw. And I
Mhm.
hope that they kind of pursue that in the next the Batman movie, because that would
Yeah.
be dope.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see that, man. If you want to check out this Batman and Robin #1, Batman Reborn, you'll see this cover. It'll give you more of an idea of what the DCU Batman movie Brave and the Bold is going to be sort of based around, the type of Batman it's going to be. But this Joe Blow article here says James Gunn didn't plan to make a Clayface movie in the DCU, but Mike Flanagan's script was too good. And this is the thing. I didn't think this Clayface movie was a DCU film because it certainly wasn't part of the Gods and Monsters lineup, but it certainly fits in the Gods and Monsters motif, obviously, if they do a
Mm.
full on horror. It says back in 2020, filmmaker Mike Flanagan let it be known on social media that he was interested in making a standalone horror thriller tragedy movie that would center on the DC Comics character Clayface, who usually is presented as a villain in the pages of Batman Comics. While after that, confirmed that he met with veteran DC movie producer John Berg to pitch a horror-leaning take on Clayface, and it was the ideas with the DC property Scarecrow, Justice League Dark and Constantine. The meeting kind of went nowhere, but in March 2023, Deadline broke the news. Flanagan had scheduled another Clayface pitch meeting, this time with studio bosses James Gunn and Peter Safran. And last month, it was announced that Flanagan is officially writing a Clayface movie that will be part of the DC Universe film franchise. Okay, being overseen by Gunn and Safran. So it's literally going to be part of the DCU. So then I would say it has to be the Clayface we saw in Creature Commandos if what they've said about DCU is true and everything being connected. During an interview with I9, Gunn admitted that he had no intention of making a Clayface movie as part of the DCU, of course, right? But the project earned a green light because Flanagan's script is so good. And we know Gunn is all about that script. He's all about the writing. He's all about if it's written well, if it's a good script, we make the movie. If it's not, we don't. That's simple. Even if it's in my list of plans, even though I told you I'm making this movie, if we never get a script, if the script never comes out, if I'm never approved or happy with that script, that movie never gets made, right? Like the guy, not gonna happen. But the first chapter of the DCU films is being referred to as Gods and Monsters. It says and is expected to consist of the animated series Creature Commandos, Peacemaker. We know what it's got: Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Lanterns TV series, Brave and the Bold movie, James Mangold's Swamp Thing, animated project Dynamic Duo, and a film which is based on a team called The Authority. And there are other projects in development as well. Clayface made its way into that lineup and is set to receive a theatrical release on September 11th, 2026. Mm-hmm. Very cool. He said, I didn't plan on making a Clayface movie. Mike came in, he pitched me this wonderful idea. I was like, damn, I can't believe you got me to want to make a Clayface movie, but he's got to write a script and who knows how that's going to work. He goes and writes the script. Final draft is great. Second draft is even better. And then I'm like, let's do it. So we found a place for it because there's quality stuff and we can work it in. As for other projects, he said there's lots of other things that are getting reported that I haven't greenlit and that I haven't said okay to. Some of those are true in terms of they're in development, and some of them are not true. And just because they're in development doesn't mean I'm going to make that movie. There's a lot of things people seem to be counting on, and it may be unwise to count on. Okay, he's not going to make a movie if the script isn't right. If the movie ain't good, he's not making it. So all that list that we just read, all this stuff that's Superwoman, Supergirl, Brave and the Bold, Swamp Thing, Dynamic Duo, Authority. If those scripts aren't good, we don't get those projects don't get made. And which is like, some people are like, oh man, I was really, hoping for that. But were you hoping for it if it was gonna suck? No.
No.
So it's good. Like let him cook, man. If he's not gonna, if he says it's not ready, if it's not good, take his fucking word for it. I would.
Yeah. Think about how many movies we got that weren't good. They put out, and they were just horrible. There's plenty of
Well,
examples.
I mean, he's talking mainly, yeah. I mean, the MCU will just keep putting a movie. If they have a plan, if they said we're going to do this movie on such and such date 2 years from now, well, if 2 years from now comes and there's still no script that's halfway decent or even one that's finished, they still fucking make the movie.
Right.
That's bananas. That's insane because you're risking. Well, I mean, you see, we got the Eternals, we got Love and Thunder, we got the Marvels, we got shit. What was the other one? Help me out. Well, anyway, a lot of them shows on Disney Plus as well. They sucked. But pretty much, the only really good things that have come out of MCU since Endgame is like Guardians 3, which is James Gunn, and Deadpool and Wolverine, which is kind of shitting
Ryan
on the
Reynolds,
MCU in a way.
which is
Ryan
Ryan
Reynolds,
Reynolds,
right?
he spearheaded that whole project.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you're right.
completely.
Yeah, you're right. We
Oh,
haven't gotten anything good from Logan. Was the last Logan was okay, but
Logan
other
was
than that,
good. Logan was good. Logan was great.
yeah, Logan was, yeah, especially in
Yeah,
black and white. But
yeah.
you're right. You're right. The rest of that was, I mean, because it's and the one thing, Reno, not to sound. sexist anything. It's too many females. They're pushing all of the females. And here's the problem: most of the females that they push, they're B characters. They're not characters that people are interested in seeing.
Or they're
Because you
made up
had
characters, or
that
characters that have
too.
only been in one comic.
That comic, right? And that's the problem. If you want to push the female characters, if you want to officially make it to MCU, bring us the stronger female characters. Bring them out. I mean, come on. We should have had Storm. I mean, let's do it. You got the license. I mean, we
I
could have
love this.
had. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
you know,
Fantastic Four. You
I'm
could have
saying,
had that. You could have had the
listen, I'm listening.
invisible. Yeah, you could have had the Invisible Woman, strong female character. You could have had Jubilee. You could have did a whole just. You could have literally just got all the female X Men together and just did a whole. Instead of that, the one we got with Kamala Khan and
Yeah, no,
Rambo, Monica Rambo, and you
nobody
could have
wants
just
those
got.
guys.
You could have just got three women from X Factor, X Men,
Yeah,
just three mutants, and you could have did a
Storm,
bomb
Rogue,
movie with that.
you
Storm,
even
Storm, Rogue,
fucking
and Jean Grey,
Jean
and
Grey.
rocked it. Yeah, and rocked it. Same story. You could have did the same story with the scrolls and all that, and they just uncover all that, and you bring the mutants in. But come on, they didn't do it, man. You just wasted an opportunity to rock because people won't come see it. They like, oh yeah, it's a movie with Storm, Jubilee,
Well,
and the Phoenix. Let's get it. Like
because
people
they
want to
want
see
to,
the X Men,
and they want to make the movies that are in the MCU. They just basically want to make up their own stories using Marvel stuff.
right?
Versus,
So
as opposed to just adapting like Marvel comics, or certain storylines or something like that, like taking a graphic novel, for example, and adapting it to a movie. Instead of doing that, they take, they just borrow from any comics or whatever and just make these stories up, and which you would think, oh well, that makes sense, right? Making new stuff. Not really, because what happens is you use up anything you can do, and then you start getting superhero fatigue because you can't keep making up shit with these characters, and you're taking all the story beats from all across the entire timeline of Marvel and putting it into one movie. And now you've used that, you shot your wad, and you can't. And so now look
and
at
we know
this.
it doesn't work,
Well, here, look at
and we
this.
know it doesn't
So
work.
case in point, right here, you see the picture that they used, and I love that. You see Norin Rad there, combined with Shalabal. They're twin surfers. In the story that Shalabal was a Silver Surfer, they were twin surfers. It was Norin Rad and Shalabal together. What they've done is they're going to take this Shalabal character right here, peel her up out of that story, and make a movie with her and act like, well, it happened in the comics. No, it fucking didn't. At no time was there just a female Silver Surfer. It never happened. And even this situation was only a one-off offshoot, Earth X, admittedly a phenomenal story, but not 616, and not, but which is fine. But if you're gonna adapt the story with Shalabal in it, adapt that comic book. Go get that comic book, get that comic series, and adapt that storyline. Yeah, change it for Hollywood's sake, but adapt that story. And in that story, Norin Rad approaches Galactus and says, "Let me bring my wife with us," and blah blah blah, and they make the twin servers. You know what I mean?
I got a
And
question,
like
and I
make
got a
that happen.
question on that too. I got a question on that when you're done.
Yeah, bust it out.
Okay, like you just said, okay, that was because I've never really gotten into Silver Surfer like that. So
Mm.
and not not in a bad way, like he's a bad guy. I just never really
Yeah,
just read his
a
comics.
lot of people
Um,
haven't. Most
yeah,
people
and
haven't.
I'm one of them. Yeah, I'm one of them. But I always thought Silver Surfer was dope. So
Right.
if what you said is true, I don't know. What do they sit around a table and say? Because it would be better if you just use Silver Surfer. So do they just sit around the table and say, well, let's just use her because she's a woman, and it
Yeah.
would be better if we use the female? Like I don't get it. Like I don't get why. And all of these, like the last iterations of any Marvel movie we got, why do they take the female characters and push them so far to the forefront that it ruins the movie and takes away from the story? Literally, like if what you said is true because you've read it, it just takes away from the overall story. It takes away from the overall character progression and everything because she's a minor character, not a major role player. Why would you want to put a minor character in a major role player's spot? Is it to prove a point? Do you think that people would love it more? I mean, the casual comic book fans not gonna know the difference either way. But the people that you want to attract are gonna know the difference, and they're not gonna be happy with it. It's not gonna make sense to them.
Yeah.
So why do it? Like, what is the purpose of doing that? And that's the question, man. What do y'all like? Even in the comments, somebody tell me something. Like, why y'all
All
think
right.
the is what do you think Disney just like I was saying before a long time ago? You think Disney is just like no matter what we do, we're still on our princess thing?
Well, here I got you because look, it says before the Fantastic Four reboot, now officially titled Fantastic Four First Steps, enter production, there were persistent rumors that the movie would introduce a female take on the Silver Surfer. A female take on the Silver
Take
Surfer?
right. And
What?
why? That's the
Why?
only question I'm asking.
Who
Why?
wanted that? Like,
Right.
who's
Like,
that
why do we
for?
need it?
Silver Surfer fans just really wanted one, or women have been clamoring for a Silver Surfer that they could relate to. Neither fucking thing has happened. No, no women's groups, no protests have fucking. We want to see ourselves as a Silver Surfer. What? Like, what women care about Silver Surfer, and what Silver Surfer fans care about this? Clearly, someone is making the movies that they want to see, and they're not making movies that anyone but people like them want to see, and people like them being a very small group of lesbian white women. I said it. That's who's doing this. It's lesbian white women. Not that I have anything against lesbian white women as a people, but it just so happens that the people that happen to be making these movies happen to be lesbian white women, and they happen to just be
Why can't
putting the stuff they want to see in the
all right.
forefront
So if
instead
that's
of
the case,
writing a
why can't
good
we get
movie. And
so
here's the
why
thing.
can't we just get the why can't
Here's the
we just
thing.
get
If
the cool lesbian white women that would say, just give us
Well,
Norman
why
Rad?
can't they just put in lesbian if they want to put in characters, women characters, lesbian characters, strong women characters, put them all in the movie. But don't take away the men characters. Don't take away the characters that all the men fans, who are the majority of the Marvel fans, just sorry it's that way, are going to see and are want to see. Like, don't make them look like assholes, morons, and buffoons just to make these women look cool. And don't it's not necessary. Like, you can have a man and a woman both being strong at the same time. Like, you really can, women. You really can, ladies. It's not impossible. But here's what they said. It says, sure enough, we'd soon find out that Ozark alum Julia Garner has been cast in the role, but she won't be playing a gender switched take on Norrin Rad. No, they're not doing a gender swap, guys. And here's how they're proving that. Garner will actually take on the role of Shala Bao, who was the empress of the planet Zenla and the first love of Norrin Rad. When Galactus came to devour their planet, Norrin Rad volunteered to become his herald in exchange for sparing Zenla. Later, when Franklin Richards became Galactus, took over as the new Galactus, not really Galactus, just Franklin Richards, he imbued Shalabal with the same cosmic powers that allowed her to serve as a twin herald alongside Norrin Rad. But in the movie, are we going to have Norrin Rad alongside as her twin? I bet we won't. And therefore, this is a bullshit excuse to gender swap a major character. You've
All
gender
right, so
swapped. First of all, I'll be honest, I didn't know about this whole Shalabal story. I had to research and find out because I'm like, oh my God, when I first found out they were making the female Silver Surfer, I'm like, you can't be serious. There's no way, after the shitstorm that Marvel has been going through and the crap they've been putting out and the backlash over it, that they're going to actually do that. There's no way they're doing that. And so I'm like, okay, and then when I found that, yeah, they're really doing that, then it's like, okay, they've got to be there's got to be some comic where this happened or something, dude. Like, and so yeah, there's a comic where Shalabal becomes a Silver Surfer, but she's with Nornrad. And the thing is, man, if you're gonna say that you're not gender swapping Silver Surfer, that you're using this comic story here, well, then you have to adapt the story here. And I'm sure we got Franklin Richards going to be in it. Maybe he's going to take over as Galactian. I don't know, but I will bet you any amount of money there's not going to be Norrin Rad as the Twin Surfer. If Norrin Rad is in the movie, he'll be dying when we meet her, and she'll be, holding him as he dies, and then that'll be it. And then she'll be the Silver Surfer because girl power. But yeah, that's it, man. It's a fact. They are literally doing it, and they're literally claiming that they're not gender swapping the character because they're claiming it happened in the comics. The character's really from the comics. Well, if you look at the picture here, doesn't look like she's her own person to me. She's fucking attached to Norrin Rad. They're like
Yeah,
liquid metal melted together. Twin
yeah,
surfers.
yeah, yeah. And it makes sense if they're twin surfers like that. And I guess
It
I've
was,
never
it was
read
a cool
any.
story.
I've only read maybe. I've never really got into Silver Surfer like that, but I know people rave about him. I know people rave. They love Silver Surfer. Even when I was a kid, people used to be like, "Silver Surfer is so dope."
He's one of those
And
characters that a lot of people don't really read his comics, but they just really like him, and he's really cool when he shows up in other comics and when he shows up in cartoons and video games. Like for me, like I'm a big fan of Silver Surfer because of the Ultimate Alliance video game series. Like playing as Silver Surfer, like this dude is powerful. Like I fuck with Silver Surfer. He's fun to play as. Like shit like that. Seeing him in
right,
certain cartoons, right? Just seeing the comics and stuff, seeing imagery, pictures, and shit like that. But as far as and reading, and like I said, him being in Avengers comics and stuff like that. But as far as just sitting down and just reading Silver Surfer comics, not a lot of people do, and it's because they're very psychedelic. They're fucking weird.
yeah,
Like,
they are. Yeah, and they look that way. Even the covers, and you look inside the kind. You're right. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It says
But
some
I, like I
fans
said,
aren't.
I, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go. I want to finish this
Nah, go ahead, go ahead.
article
I
before
was
we.
gonna read something. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I want to finish this article
Oh,
before we.
I was gonna say
Uh,
some fans aren't too happy about Shia LaBeouf being introduced before the original Sentinel of the Spaceways, but we have heard that Garner's role will be a one and done, possibly leaving the door open for Norrin Rad to appear down the line. So
shouldn't
maybe
it be
we
the other
still
way
get
around? Like,
what?
like shit. And I'm no silver. Like I said, I don't know much, but shouldn't it be the other
Oh,
way around?
he
Shouldn't you
should
bring
come
in?
first. Yeah, yeah,
Should you?
yeah.
He should come first, leaving the door open for her to come later on. Like,
Now, if they do it where like he's off somewhere and he can't be there for whatever reason, so she's kind of handling shit right now, I can rock with that. Fine, you want to do that. And again, guys, no matter what they do, no matter what storyline they come up with for this, don't think that they're not doing it just so they can gender swap the Silver Surfer and put a female main Silver Surfer as a female. That's literally their goal. It's not to write this cool, interesting story. They don't do that at Marvel.
as
At the
as
MCU,
as
I
we
say.
right. As we have seen in the last couple of years, with the movies they put out, that seems to be the way the train is rolling as far
Yeah.
as now because nobody wanted the Marvels. Nobody wanted. I mean, the Kamala Khan show was good, but that's something I expect from Disney Plus. I
Yeah.
expect that. That's the level that it's on. Um, anything else? I mean, hopefully Daredevil is good.
Yeah.
Hopefully they bring back Luke Cage. I do keep hearing through the grapevine they want to bring back Jessica Jones. I hear they want to bring back all the Netflix ones, but you got to
Oh
do
yeah,
them
they're
right.
bringing those all back. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're going to be
you got
part
to
of the
do them
new
right.
Daredevil. Yeah.
Now the one I heard, now the one that got me excited was that they said they're gonna reboot um Iron Fist, and they're actually gonna do it right
Yeah.
this time because the
Yeah, I
director,
would
for
love
some
that.
reason, he had a grudge against putting him in the costume. He wanted him to look like a surfer. I mean, if you want to do your own Danny Rand, Do it on your own
I mean,
time.
that's
It's
how
no
Danny
rush.
Rand looks when he doesn't have his mask on. He kind of does look like a surfer. He's got blonde hair. That's how Danny Rand looks. But
But he don't. But he didn't act like Danny Rand. Like Danny Rand is like Drax, like the way he talks and the way he interacts with you. He takes everything literally, and he speaks like in a cryptic, Chinese cryptic way. Like
yeah, he was
like
definitely
he's
not
yeah, he definitely
the
wasn't Danny,
guy.
a very good Danny Rand. But and then you got to remember both fists. He can light both fists up, and then at
That's
some
what I
point
want
he
to
got
see.
to the point. Right, that's what we want to see. And then he got to a point where he could light his fist and his feet up. So
Right.
they did show that in the TV show, but it was like somebody filmed it with a black and white camera, and they showed him
Mm,
jump, and he had the suit on. So I'm like, well, why couldn't you just do that or do an updated version of the suit? Like, I don't know, but a lot of people were pissed about
yeah.
that because
Yeah.
Iron Fist is another character like Silver Surfer. People like hardcore comic book fans and casual, they love Iron Fist.
Yep.
They just
Yep.
that's just the thing. Iron Fist is that dude to them. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Silver Surfer, or not, Shalabout or what? We know everybody that's going to be in the movie. The cast is already crazy. Reed Richards is Pedro Pascal. This is a casting just born out of the fact that he's really hot right now in Hollywood. He was the name, the go-to guy. Do I think he can pull it off? I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, it's Reed Richards. It's not like anyone can kind of play Reed Richards. Like, let's be honest. Mr. Fantastic. He's got to be a smart dude. Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. That works. It fits fine. Again, it's Sue Storm. You just got to be pretty. That's it. Invisible Woman. I'm sorry. Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm makes no sense to me at all. I don't understand what sort of Human Torch you're doing, guys. You know how Johnny Storm is. You know what kind of how he acts. Like, this dude is like the biggest frat boy douchebag, like jerk off, just douchey dude that's like super egotistical, super cocky. Joseph Quinn, I I he could. Maybe he can. Like I said, I don't know what they're doing. They might be doing something crazy. We know already it's going to be wild. We already know the casting is crazy. Eben Moss Backrack was in The Bear and in Punisher. I think he can play a very interesting take on Ben Grimm. That being said, an interesting take
just gotta
on Ben
see.
Grimm.
Yeah, I
He's
was
not
getting ready to say, yeah,
like
we gotta
Ben
see.
Grimm.
Yeah, yeah.
He's nothing like
I'm
Ben
with you.
Grimm, but yeah, but it'll be again something weird. Galactus, though, that casting, I'm super down with. Ralph Ineson, is the perfect Galactus because I mean beyond the voice, he's just I can see him playing that role. He was in Game of Thrones. He's been in a bunch of shit. The Witch, apparently. Now Natasha Lyonne, who is an actress I like, who you probably don't know by name, but you've seen her in a bunch of shit, and she's funny. She was in like American Pie back in the day. She had her own show called Russian Doll, made by the person that destroyed Star Wars, The Acolyte. But this is her right here. You've seen her, in a bunch of shit.
You don't dream we die.
That's her right there. Not the cop. Her. That's her.
We can't see it. I can't see it.
Yeah, so I guess that's her in whatever Orange is the New Black or one of those shows like that. She's supposedly playing like the voice of Herbie, Ben Grimm's robot, which is
Mm,
that's a gender swap right there. We know Herbie was always a male voice, but it's something that's one of those things where a gender swap I think can work and make sense and is okay. That's the perfect actually thing to do a gender swap on, where it's not hurting anybody, it's not destroying any characters, it's not bothering anything. And it makes sense too, like a female voice for a robot. Why not? Yeah, and in fact, it's probably better that way. But rumor has it that John Malkovich is going to be playing the Red Ghost, which I was a little bit disappointed. I thought he would have made an awesome Mole Man, but they're going with this guy to play Mole Man. It's a little on the nose for me, but we'll see. He's I don't know. Have you seen him in anything?
Never.
Really? You never
Not
seen him
coming
before?
up.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't see
Think what
because
he's
it's
been
not
in.
coming up. It's not coming up for us.
Oh, you don't see
Uh,
it? Why you ain't
no, I
tell
don't
me?
see it. I was like, little. That's the last one. I was
You
like,
gotta
yeah, we
you
can't
gotta
see
tell
this.
me, man, when I'm talking
Uh,
about something
I,
I can't
I
see.
gotta get your attention. I gotta get your attention. All right, there we go.
Hey, Reno.
So they want him to be Roman. I mean, Moment.
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
So
I can see that.
did you see Natasha Leone, who I was just showing y'all for a minute?
No, no, go back. Yeah, go back to Natasha.
Thank you, Stu.
Welcome, sir.
Where
Welcome.
where is it at? Where hold on, man. All right. So this whole time I'm sitting here talking to y'all, showing y'all something, and y'all ain't seeing it. My
When you was
bad,
doing
man.
Natasha, I was like, yo, we can't see it.
You ain't say nothing.
I
Well, that's
did. I
fair.
said,
Well, you ain't
you
say.
rewind the
All
video.
right.
I'm telling you. I was like, yeah. I said, we can't see it.
All right, go ahead, man. There she is. Well, that's her,
So
man.
that's who they want to be, Sue
That's
Richards.
who's gonna be Herbie. No, that's
Oh,
Herbie.
Herbie. All right. Oh, she's gonna be
Yeah,
Herbie. All right.
yeah. But she's a
All
funny actress, is what I. That's what she's a funny actress. She's a comedian, so I guess Herbie's gonna be a comic relief robot with her as the voice. But yeah,
Well, you said it best. It's got to be. They want to try to add some comedy to it. They want to do Guardians. So
yeah. But Feige recently confirmed that the movie will take place in an alternate universe, which we know is going to be more of like a 1960s version of the future. So think of like, in the 60s when they did like robots and futuristic stuff, the way it looked, that's how it's going to kind of be. But we know that Marvel's First Family will appear in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars as well. So everyone's coming over for the new Endgame and Secret and whatever. But yeah, so we wouldn't be surprised if they found their way into the MCU timeline by the end of this movie, I'm sure. But yeah, Matt Shakeman directs the Fantastic Four First Steps, and it comes out July 25th, 2025. But Infinity War is what I was thinking of. Infinity War and Endgame.
Infinity War.
Doomsday and Secret Wars are basically the new Infinity War and Endgame, if you haven't figured that out. But the only difference being Infinity War and Endgame had, a decade of building up and characters that we cared about and movies that we couldn't wait for and just a great era, one of the biggest dynasties, best dynasties in Hollywood. And then Endgame ended. They killed Downey, made Evans a geezer, and that was it. That's it. Then they gave us shit like the Eternals and fucking Thor: Love and Thunder and the Marvels, and just basically lost their way. And now they're like trying to scramble, bringing Downey back, bringing Chris Evans back, bringing the Russo brothers back. We can do it again. We can do it again, guys. Let's do 2 big Avengers movies. You guys like that? Well, no. The reason those were great was because of the buildup, because we cared about the characters in it. Now you're gonna fill these movies with Kamala Khan and fucking all these characters in the Marvels and all these characters that have been annoying us for the past couple of years here, and we're supposed to be excited about it.
Of course. Why wouldn't we be?
It's sad.
I mean, but like you said, it's what we got, and I'm glad James Gunn is doing his thing because it's going to make them. We have listen. Once
Yeah,
Superman
James
comes
Gunn
out,
is doing his
this
thing.
is once Superman comes out, Reno, it's going to change everything. Well, how the Joker said, change things forever. It's just going to change everything forever because once that movie takes off and they see the success of that movie and the way he did it, the first thing they're going to do is what everybody does in Hollywood They're gonna copy it. They're gonna try to copy it. They're gonna try to get that lightning in the bottle and then use
Mhm.
it on their projects when we've been asking for what he's doing the whole time and you didn't want to listen. And then people are gonna start saying, well, you know what? Skip Marvel. I'm gonna go see this DC stuff they got going on because it's great. And that's
Yeah,
what's gonna happen.
they're gonna
So
show
with that,
Marvel how to
man,
do it.
yeah, and with that, I gotta roll.
You
I
gotta
gotta
bounce.
start getting ready. Yeah, I gotta
All
start getting
right.
ready for work. Pushed it long. We started late too. We started kind of late too.
Yeah,
So
like 30 minutes late, yeah. Well, everybody that's gonna be in the Avengers movies, but nah, be safe, man, and we'll see you guys. We'll see you back here on Saturday for the DC Power Hour. But before I go, I'm gonna run through and let y'all know everybody that's cast right now in these Avengers movies. Right now, obviously, Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. That's confirmed. We know this one. Doom was very famously confirmed to play Junior at the played by Junior at the Comic-Con. Chris Evans in an unknown role, reported to be, but yet to be confirmed. Tom Holland as Spider-Man, rumored. It might as well be confirmed, but it's not. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, that is confirmed, despite several websites citing, as confirmation that Cumberbatch would return Strange. The only agency to actually have this information is one that I'd never heard of called TV Groove. But during Cumberbatch's visit to Tokyo for the Tokyo Comic-Con, TV Groove interviewed him, and he said the following. I'm really excited not only to work with the Russo brothers again, but also to have Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doctor Doom. So that's a confirmation. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, obviously confirmed. Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, that is a reported casting, not yet confirmed. Pascal, Kirby, Quinn, Moss, Backrack, Fantastic Four, confirmed to be in the Avengers movies. Unknown X-Men characters, not technically confirmed, but almost. And this one's relatively vague. During the summer of last summer, the whole story of Secret Wars really leads us into a new age of mutants, of the X-Men, and Doomsday very clearly leads into Secret Wars in some way. And it certainly does seem like Feige is hinting at X-Men appearing in both films. And I hope he doesn't mean like Kamala Khan and bullshit. He's talking about X-Men. We have reports of Beast, Kelsey Grammer's Beast, also X-23, Wolverine, and obviously and Wolverine and stuff like that. So all this has been reported. But as far as confirmations, again, technically no confirmation. Technically for the X-Men, no specific X-Men characters confirmed to appear in Doomsday, but Feige did say Deadpool and Wolverine was very important to the next Avengers movies, whatever that means. And he said that the X-Men will be in either movie, but it does seem he hasn't said that that they'll be in either movie, but it does seem likely. But Elizabeth, I don't want to say her name again. Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch is a rumored casting. Which, yeah, didn't she die? But yeah, tons of rumors have been circulating around her. A few days ago, a production list leaked for Doomsday, and it had Olsen's name on it. So, and many others, but only so much credence can be given to this list. It's entirely possible that it's fake. You know how the internet is. Every news outlet that is reporting that she will be in the film based on this list. So I'm saying it's still a rumor because it's not an actual confirmation. It's a leaked list. I don't put a lot of stock in it, but hey, it's probably likely. Sadly, I don't want to see her anymore. Charlie Cox is Daredevil, rumored, sort of. We know he's currently training for his role to be in the new Daredevil show, of course, and but it is entirely possible that these characters would be in Avengers Doomsday. In fact, there are rumors that we may see even more characters like Bucky Barnes, which feels likely the rest of the Thunderbolts, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Gambit, Quicksilver, and a few others that we've already seen. And so, again, it's going to be a big ensemble, kind of like, like Endgame. So just pretty much think of everyone. But those are the confirmations. As far as X-23. Reportedly, we have the actress Daphne Keane, who played X-23 in Logan. And she is now confirmed for both Avengers movies. So we expected that to be the case. Of course, it means that we will see her, hopefully alongside Hugh Jackman's Wolverine as well, since, Deadpool and Wolverine are so integral to Avengers. Also, we've heard that Kelsey Grammer's Hank McCoy Beast will appear in Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, he was just in the after credit scene recently. And this comes about, like a big update after Scarlet Witch dropped. So I think the update says, that she has seemingly been confirmed for Doomsday. So yeah, how we don't know. She's gonna. I mean, come on, it's Marvel, it's multiverse, it's Scarlet Witch. She's their golden boy, and so she will definitely be rematerializing somehow. Even though she's supposed to be dead. But that's a confirmation now, so you can check that off the box. And Feige, as far as X-Men, he said I think you will see that it continues in our next few movies with some X-Men players that you might recognize. Right after that, the whole story of Secret Wars really leads us into the new age of mutants and of the X-Men. Again, it's one of those dreams come true. We finally have the X-Men back. End quote. Promising words from Feige. I love to hear it. I'm skeptical as always with anything with the MCU after what they've been putting me through. But as for Keen, as for X-23, she's understandably happy about it, and she said, "I would love to come back. I would pay them to come back. Playing Laura has been the biggest honor of my life. To me, we've only scratched the surface with her, and she's such a complex character. She's so cool just from a fan's standpoint." And that's true. Wolverine's my favorite. Maybe my favorite character. Cable's up there, obviously, and I mean Marvel wise, but calling her Wolverine and acting like she's the new Wolverine is just stupid. I don't like that. If you want to make a new character called X-23, and then there's a new character called Honey Badger, that's cool. Hell yeah, I like that. That's cool. Just don't tell me that that's the new Wolverine now. Like, what? Who's gonna be down for that? Who wants that? I don't know. But they're calling her X-23. So what I'm really dreading, though, guys, is that they're going to bring her and Logan in, and we're going to get yet another scene where Logan dives in her arms, and then she does become the MCU's Wolverine. Because, there's been this big back and forth about Hugh Jackman being the MCU Wolverine and people not really wanting that because, he was great for what he did, but this is a new version of Wolverine, a new version of the MCU, and we want a more comic book accurate Wolverine. And that does not mean like a midget, okay? Like the shit they did on Deadpool Wolverine was hilarious, but it doesn't mean a midget, okay? It just means someone who's not afraid to wear the mask, someone who's a little bit more gravelly, a little bit more maybe stocky, looking a little bit more tough, not such of a, Hollywood leading man type. But, that's never going to happen. That's just, a Wolverine fan's dream right there that we'll never probably ever see. Hollering back at the chat. What up, y'all? Clooney was a good back man, but no. Please don't put Pattinson into the DCU. I agree. I don't think that is gonna be the case, though, guys. I don't think you have to worry about that. No Ant-Man and the Wasp yet. Yeah, I don't know. The whole Ant-Man and the Wasp thing is crazy. That the movie did not do well, sadly. Speaking of castings, though, before we go, I do have to also mention there's a rumor that they're going to be recasting T'Challa for the Avengers movies and Black Panther 3. 5 years after the death of Chadwick Boseman, Marvel Studios finally planning to introduce a new take on T'Challa. I guess they felt it's been enough time. And honestly, they should have done it right away. But, I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, okay, yeah, he was great at the role and all that. Like, yeah, he's iconic and all that. But, like, they recast these characters all the time. Why would this one be the one you can't recast for what? How many times have they recast Batman? Like come on. But there was a lot of debate on how the studio would intend to proceed with the sequel to Black Panther following his passing and all that, and like they just couldn't figure it out. Like, oh, what are we gonna do? We couldn't possibly recast the character. But I got an idea. Let's have his little sister Shuri, played by the very pretty and talented but petite Letitia Wright, is now the new Black Panther. I don't Wakanda's protector. I don't buy it. But while the majority of the fans felt this was the most delicate way to proceed, a lot of us hope to see a new actor in the role of T'Challa. Does not hurt our reverence for the great Chadwick Boseman and how well he did at the role. That will always be the main Black Panther. But you got to recast, man. You just got to move on. We got to see this character again, and but Feige thinks now enough time has passed, and according to Jeff Snyder, he said Marvel is looking to recast its Black Panther hero T'Challa ahead of the 2 Avengers movies and Ryan Coogler's Black Panther 3. So yeah, and we would assume this would be a multiversal variant of the character, but there's speculation that it might not be the T'Challa, but maybe an older version of his son. So maybe they're not going to recast T'Challa. Maybe they still aren't gonna. We'll see. But the original plan seemed to be for the son to succeed the father by taking up the mantle of Black Panther and possibly ruling Wakanda as king. The nature of the multiverse would allow for a time jump, but it does sound more likely that Marvel plans to find a new actor to play a version of the same character that Boseman played across the 4 MCU films outside of just Black Panther. So that's what we hope for. That's the speculation, and that's the word on that. As far as Tom Holland playing Spider-Man, sadly, they're going back and forth about bringing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield again for Spider-Man 4. And I think it's a terrible, terrible, terrible mistake. It's a horrible move. It's a very desperate move. It makes you look very just cheap, just cringe, just corny, just like seriously, like that's really, come on, man. Like that's such an obvious, like it was already an obvious cash grab. It was an obvious gimmick, but it was like, okay, it was kind of fun. I felt it completely destroyed any semblance of having an actual Spider-Man story for that movie. It was just a gimmick, like fan fest, but we did that. We don't do that again now just because shit ain't hot. It ain't hot because of the garbage you kept spewing. You didn't listen. You kept spewing shit like Eternals and Love and Thunder and Marvels, and you kept giving us that shit and wonder why now you got to run back and do shit like bringing Downey back and and doing all this wild gimmicky stuff. But that's the word. They're talking about doing it again for Spider-Man 4. I was really hoping that Spider-Man 4 would be the Black Suit saga. You got Secret Wars coming up. We all know, if we're comic fans, that the Black Suit really came out of Secret Wars and from Battle World. So even if that wasn't the case, like, the timing is just right. Everyone no longer knows that Peter Parker existed, so he'd be very dark and brooding. It would just be the perfect time for the Black Suit. We already saw the little piece of symbiote in the after credit scene that they kind of just, are they going to ignore that? Are they going to go with it? Again, that's Sony, but it's also MCU. So, like, I don't know, man. That's what I wanted to see. That's what I still hope is going to happen. But rumors are, sadly, in my opinion, that they're going to be bringing back the old guys. Now, I'm a big fan of Andrew Garfield. Like, I think he's the best Peter Parker. I would have loved to see the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the trilogy for that. But just to see him come back for like a gimmick with Tom Holland still as the main Spider-Man, I have no interest in that. None. And I don't think Tobey Maguire has any interest in it either. He didn't even seem like he wanted to be there at all the last time, but I don't know. Let's see. What did we not get to yet? He-Man. I'll talk about that next Saturday when Stu's back. We didn't get the Skeleton Crew yet. Dawn of the Jedi. Oh, Dawn of the Jedi. I do want to talk about this real quick. My favorite, one of my favorite Star Wars comic books is going to be coming to a movie. James Mangold has never shied away from challenges. He did the Johnny Cash biopic, Walk the Line, which I thought was great. He did Girl Interrupted, which was a cool movie with Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie, kind of a weird, very weird chick flick. But his career full of different varying kind of movies and weird, stuff like this. But very eclectic in his work. But this Star Wars movie, might be one of the largest, biggest challenges that I think he's ever done. I think most people doing a Star Wars movie is probably the biggest thing they've ever done. But along with the showrunner Beau Willimon, he's going to do a new, a unique version of Star Wars with Dawn of the Jedi. It's a story that takes place 20,000 years before Luke Skywalker. It's literally how the Jedi, where they came from. They're not even called Jedi yet. They're called the Jedi, where it's like an apostrophe and a couple of D's and I's or something like that. But it's dope. I mean, you see the development of the first lightsabers, how that comes about. You see how the Sith come about. All of that's in there. So I recommend going out and reading the Dawn of the Jedi comics, because I think Kathleen Kennedy and friends are going to shit on and destroy this entire movie. They've already put their fingers in and told him that he's got to make it adapt to Rey's story. Why you would make a movie that takes place 20,000 years before Rey have anything to do with Rey is clearly you're just trying to piss people. Now you just really want to put Rey everywhere. Look, people don't really like Rey, dude. Like, it's not a popular character. It's not. Like, get over it. The merch doesn't sell. People don't like this stuff. Disney's in big trouble with Star Wars. They there's rumors they could be selling. I hope they do. God, I hope they do. But the merch isn't selling because the movies suck. The shows suck. There's not much around it. But that being said, Andor is coming back with a season 2. That show was phenomenal. Maybe one of the best Star Wars anythings that have ever been done. So that's happening. But also there's a rumor that there is a series coming out set in the Old Republic, developing for Disney Plus. Now, Mandalorian was good. Andor was phenomenal. Rogue One was phenomenal. If the right people at Lucasfilm are making the project, it can be amazing. but the majority of the projects are being fuddled with by, Charmaine Obaid Chinoy and Kathleen Kennedy and just being destroyed. But Skeleton Crew, one that I thought was something I was going to not have any interest in, has been one of the best Star Wars. It to me, it's like Andor, Mandalorian, Skeleton Crew. As far as the Star Wars shows, it's right up there. So really good show. But Old Republic era, Knights of the Old Republic, you know, even Revan, that whole storyline, the video games, the online multiplayer, anything to do with, especially the books. I read a lot of the Old Republic novels. I've read all of them actually. That is my favorite era in Star Wars. If I had my dream Star Wars movie, my dream Star Wars project, my dream Star Wars show, it's all about the Old Republic. I'm super excited to hear this. And there's supposedly a show set during the Knights of the Old Republic era is in development at Lucasfilm. And that would mean a timeline, again, not 20,000 years before Luke, but about 5,000 years before Luke, 4 or 5,000 before Phantom Menace, actually, not Luke, before Phantom Menace. But yeah, there's a 2003 video game by BioWare called Knights of the Old Republic. Introduced characters like Darth Revan, Malik, and then you had Malgus coming out in the games and shit. Knights of the Old Republic 2, my probably favorite video game experience of all time. You get to actually like play as like a Sith or a Jedi, go to the light side, go to the dark side, depending on your actions and all of that. Tons of fucking cool fun being a Sith. But how true is this? How official is it? We've known for months that Lucasfilm is developing a lot of new ideas for future Disney Plus series, and there's not really that many other places to go, right? Old Republic is something that has been toyed with and talked about and like it's probably been on their dartboard with post-it notes since they started Disney, since Disney bought Star Wars, right? It's something that they've always had there, that they've probably always known that they were gonna do. But Kennedy comes in talking about Legends aren't canon, and then it's like, well, what about Old Republic? And so hopefully they do this. But yeah, apparently this is happening. The word development can mean a lot of things. It could mean literally that they're just talking about the script or talking about the idea for the movie. A couple of people, studio execs, whatever. It doesn't really mean that they're actually like filming anything or casting anything or anything yet. So development can mean a lot of shit, but apparently this show's in development. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's an inevitability. I think eventually we are going to get something about the Old Republic, and that will be when I'm happy. That will be when I'm totally satisfied. That's when I will get the Star Wars project I've been dying for. But before we go, I promised you guys a recap of Skeleton Crew. If you didn't see number 7, it's been really, really good. Officially down to its final 2 episodes. Episode 7, aptly titled "We're Gonna Be in So Much Trouble," certainly delivers on the trouble. After last week's episode, we saw Jude Law unwillingly reunited with his former crew. The lightsaber wielding pirate got his groove back and much. But the kids, they got fucked up. They were trapped, and he was gonna do them dirty, and they hit the trap door and disappeared down the hole. And what's gonna happen? So episode 7, we mark the return of Lee Isaac Chung, who previously directed the 3rd episode of The Mandalorian season 3, the worst season to be sure, but not a horrible episode. But this episode definitely opens up on Atten. As the children's parents are trying to get a message through the planet's barrier via a transmitter, because remember, there's a barrier around Atten. This is why no one in the galaxy knows where it is or that it exists. And so the safety droids show up to stop them because they don't want anybody transmitting off planet. And while most of the parents end up on the receiving end of a stun ray, Farah is able to send a message up to the stars. And while the children have been, through the ringer lately, they're doing very well aboard their ship, the Onyx Cinder. And now that they're headed back home, and so they're fucking off, they're playing ball, they're acting like children again. But Wim is stuck, in his feelings, and he's mad about the adventure gone wrong, and he expresses regret about them getting into this mess. But the other three are like, nah, they're glad that he hit the button and sent them on this big adventure. But as cool as Jude Law, John Norwood, and his numerous aliases have been, Skeleton Crew has made it pretty clear from the start that he is not a good guy. He is definitely he was a pirate captain from the beginning. He was captain. He was Crimson Jack. He had the helmet on. You saw him in the very first scene. Even if the show didn't have every character that the children encountered warn them about Jod, it's very evident, that they've been positioning him as a Captain Hook-esque character opposite their merry band of lost boys. And so episode 5, we kind of revealed his traitorous nature. Episode 7, we see that in fact, that this is a man who will stop at nothing to ensure that his pockets are fat, and that he gets to be the big pirate badass. And so if you give a man a blue lightsaber, he's going to threaten the children with it, and he does. And so episode 7 definitely reunites our audiences with Jod and his plight aboard his former pirate ship. He's back with his old crew, and in the intervening time since his "I am hungry" speech with the crew, that he's navigated them to At-Aten. So, but At-Aten doesn't appear to be anything like what he described, right? And so they're all like, especially the werewolf dude Brutus, he's pissed. And from the untrained eye, At-Aten just looks like a dangerous gaseous planet with a perpetual storm that would cause death to anyone that tried to go into the atmosphere. Because we know that there's a barrier, but it looks like this is like like Jupiter or something, right? You don't want to go there. So SM-33, who is the droid that is alive for now, backs up Jod's assertion that that it's an illusion, right? He knows it's not necessarily a weather anomaly. He said, but so Jod volunteers to fly into the storm to prove his theory, but Brutus knows better and sends a volunteer down instead, because obviously if it is that way, Jod's gonna take it for himself. But so Jod's dismayed, the volunteer does not return, and Brutus has him hauled off to the airlock for his he's gonna walk the plank, right? And so once again, Jod is saved by pure luck, of course, and the Onyx Cinder drops out of hyperspace, and they see it and they're like, oh shit, wait a minute. And a new plan forms, and Jod challenges up his theory about At-Aten and claims that the Onyx Cinder is the key to safe passage onto the planet. But and Brutus goes with the new plan of action, and he utilizes a tractor beam to pull the ship aboard their ship, and they head down into the hangar and commandeer the Onyx. Brutus threatens to kill Jod, of course, before he gets the chance, but then Jod sort of gloats that the crew loves him too much to let that happen. Brutus, however, the crew has no love for him, it seems, and the children put up a pretty impressive ruse when Brutus walks up the ship's landing ramp, threatening the passengers of the Onyx with harm if they don't come unarmed. Instead, the children utilize this claw-like arm to ensnare Brutus, and they underestimate just how much Jod or any of the pirates care about their captain. And Jod approaches the landing, threatens to kill Brutus if he comes any closer, and Jod takes the opportunity away from them, killing Brutus after using the Force to free himself from the shackles that he's been trapped in for 2 episodes. Now, after spending most of the season treating Jod like their would-be prisoner, he finally gets the opportunity to take the children hostage and commandeer the Onyx Cinder for himself. And, where the Onyx Cinder and his old pirate ship are once again under his purview, Jod returns to his Captain Silvo persona, complete with the nifty helmet that we saw him in episode 1 when he was Crimson Jack. And so they start their plot to attack At-Aten, and they intercept the transmission from the children's parents, who again were trying to send that out of the barrier. And so it's interesting that the skeleton crew opted to deliver the scene while Joss's face is concealed, meaning that they will never know if he was truly affected by the fact that the children's parents care about them so much. And so perhaps the finale will shed light onto who Jod was before he was a pirate. Given that he is a Force user of a certain age in a post Order 66 world. So we know he's not a Jedi from like the original Order, but like, man, was he from like Luke's Jedi? I don't know. But we'll see. But Jod lands the score of the century in this episode. Of course, he does. The last few minutes are a race to the finish as him and the children arrive on Ad-Atten, and it's all set up a lot of angst and drama for the finale. And the parents are sitting there waiting for the reprimanded, to get the kids through the barrier, and a message comes through over the intercom announcing the arrival of the Republic frigate. And they quickly realize that the ship is carrying their children thanks to the tracker that KB's mom's has. And but Jod and the children are greeted by the safety droids as they come off, and rather than this spelling trouble for Jod, the droids mistake him for a Republic emissary. And as it turns out, all emissaries must be immediately escorted to the mint below Ad-Atten. So he gets immediately to be taken right down to where all the money is made. And so the children and the ship are lowered into the ground as their parents watch, taken directly to the massive vault filled with Republic credits. And the droids do recognize that the children are the very same children who were reported missing by their parents, but Jod requests that the droids keep them on the ship while they wait for their parents to collect them. He asks the droids about how many vaults are beneath Ad-Atten, and is thrilled to learn that there are 1,139 vaults to be precise, all filled with credits. As the episode draws to a close, the children finally are reunited with their parents, of course, but their little reunion is short-lived, of course, because Jod strolls up, pulls out the lightsaber, and the episode fades to black. So we don't know. We should be worried about the Kuriana Crater describing next week's episode with only one word, and that's death. So that is the word for the next episode, death. So like I said, man, this show is really good. Geared for kids, yeah, but anybody can enjoy it, and that's what Star Wars is all about. That's the whole deal. But anyway, man, that's our show, guys. I did want to kind of rush through that. I didn't want to rush through it, but I had to kind of get it all in. We are going to come back, of course, every Wednesday and Saturday at around 7 p.m. So come check us out. Go ahead and hit that like button, and please subscribe if you haven't yet. We will see you guys Saturday for DC Power Hour, where we give you all the goods on the DCU. And we'll see you guys then. So have a good one. Be safe. Peace.